Hi everyone, welcome. I can see people joining us, which is great. Um, just while people are joining, would you mind, we're just going to test a couple of things. If you can type into the chat where you're joining from, I guess the town or the suburb or whatever the case may be is. We just want to make sure that this is going to work okay. I can see you raising your hand, Sally. Wonder, I'm hoping you guys are able to use the chat. So just type it into the chat. I can see Q&A, which is good. Chat is disabled. Now, I'm not sure, Beck, whether that's something you can do.
Yeah, let me see if I can fix that for everyone.
Thank you. I've got someone else who's raised their hand. Yes, some of my regulars will know that I really prefer being able to communicate with everyone, which is really good. So I can see people coming in. I'll just let Beck let us know when we can get that sorted, and then we're
Yeah,
going to get cracking.
give that a go, guys. See if you can. Yep. So Sharon, everybody's popping in there now.
Yay!
Perfect.
Hi, Sharon. St. John, Perth. That's cool. That's a suburb, I assume. Hi, Isabella. Hi, Sally from Mermaid Smiles. I think that's in Gold Coast. Adelaide, this is fantastic. I love it when this stuff comes through. Okay, Gold Coast, Illawarra. Who else we got? Hello. Come on, Karina. I mean, hello to you too, but where are you? Dubbo, Perth. Keep these coming through. I reckon I've missed some at the beginning, so I just want to make sure. Narangba, I don't know if that's Brizzy or Gold Coast or Sunshine Coast. Hello, Sophie from Brighton. Hello, Van from Sydney. You could be a little more specific. Mark Taylor from Perth. I'm sure you've been asked a million times whether you're the former captain of the Australian cricket team. Probably not. All right, this is terrific. Well, why don't we get cracking now? Just before we get started, just be aware this is being recorded. So if you want to recap anything that we've done, then let's go. And welcome Mona from Brisbane. All right, end of year patient communication. I'm delighted to see a really good turn up today for this. It's really important. It's possibly not the sexiest topic in the world, but it is important. So let's get cracking. So I've put aside three elements for the purpose, which is for you to understand the need and the opportunity. So there is a need for end-of-year patient communication. There's also a tremendous opportunity. And then I'm going to help you with some tactics so you can engage busy patients, like at a time of year when they're thinking about other things. All right. And then finally, Neil's going to come and help us and show you how to use D for W to make it all happen. Now, the agenda, a little bit of background. We're going to talk about some of the challenges in dentistry. I'm not here to spread bad news, but the fact is that if you understand what the lay of the land is, then we can look at how to tackle that, and then we'll get very specific about patient engagement. Kind of what's the problem? How do we tackle it? And then Neil is going to do D for W in action. So what I'd like you to do is type into the chat, take action now. Could you do that for me, please? I'm seeing the chat here, which is really helpful. Because this is the reality while you're typing that in. Take action now. Thank you, Sally. You win $100 million. Centaur's very generous. The first, just kidding. Here's the reality. We go, oh, information's power, knowledge is power. And I go, no, it's not. It's only when you actually take action that it makes all the difference. Thank you to everyone for playing along. This is really awesome. What an awesome crowd. All right, so we've got a poll launching. The first one, which I'm going to get back to launch, is what is your role? Now, I am aware that we've misspelt the word principal dentist. I'm not sure if that was my fault or Beck's fault. She and I can duke it out next time we see each other. A friend of mine, their father was a school principal, and his little gag was, I put the PAL in principal. So if you ever, wondering which is the one to spell correctly, if it's a person, it's a PAL, like a PAL. And if it's principal, like something you should do, then it's that. All right, this is good. Thank you, everyone. I think the poll, we've got a few more seconds. Sally, put it into there's a poll that should be appearing as a pop-up. I appreciate you typing it into the chat, but there we are. All right, it looks like a decent chunk of you are practice managers. We have some principal dentists, and we've got a DA as well. All right, I think that's good. Let's finish that poll. Good, thank you. And then one other poll, please, which is, I want to find out what your experience is. Thanks, Beck. What is your experience typically with end of year? So we can shut down that poll. Beck, can you start the next one, please? There it is. Okay, so at your practice, what is it usually like at the end of year? Is it a bit busier than usual? Is it a bit quieter? Is it about the same? Or don't know? And I assume by that, it's kind of like, maybe you weren't working in this practice previous years or whatever the case may be. Okay, interesting. Keep going. I'm just trying to see how many answers we've got here. So we've got about half of you answering. Let's see if we can get up to 3/4. It's actually reasonably even. A bit busier than usual is getting a few more of the votes. A few people don't know. That's totally okay. Some are a bit quieter than usual. Some are about the same. That's my alarm reminding me about this webinar, Beck. All right. Let me see. 5 seconds. Come on, let's see if we can get a couple more to fill in the poll. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate that. Like, you giving me that helps me to tailor my communication with you. So a bit of background about your speaker today. I like to start with the personal stuff. What do I do? Do I live to work or work to live? I'll let you figure that out for yourself. I'm married. I've got a couple of kids. I've got a grandchild. I'm only 55. I made it to 50 before my granddaughter turned up. Very keen runner. I did a marathon in Canberra a few years ago, and a very keen reader. I've read a book a week for the last 4 weeks. Now, I've got a question. Just type it into the chat. Like who? Just give me a Y or an N. Are you a person who likes tomato or doesn't like tomato? It's a very important question. Do you like tomato or not like it? I'm really looking for someone who doesn't like it, but keep going. Come on, it's the easiest question you'll be asked all day. Do you like tomato? Yuck. Okay, Isabella doesn't like tomato. All right, seems like we've got a group of people who generally like tomato. Kevin likes tomato. All right, I'll remember to bring you one next time I see you. Okay, so here is a video of my granddaughter the first time that she tried tomato. Hopefully the sound will come through. Check it out. Yeah, she really didn't like tomato. And you might be thinking, Angus, why are you showing us that video? The reality is, for us to get a different result, we've got to do something different, don't we? And so I'm going to show you some things and you're going to go, oh, Angus, like, do we have to do that? And the answer is no, you don't have to. But just be aware, my granddaughter has transitioned from not liking tomato at all to actually being quite comfortable with it. And that's kind of the mindset I want you to adopt for today. So for me, I founded a company called Dental Marketing Solutions. We deal exclusively with dentists. That was about 10 years ago. And more recently, an outsourcing firm called Dental Stars. I've got a master's degree in marketing, worked with lots of different healthcare professionals for 15 years plus, but almost exclusively with dentists for about the last 10 years. #1 Amazon best-selling author, international speaker, quoted on a few different TV stations, and we won lots of awards. And I say all of that really just to say that this is what I do. Hopefully it gives you some confidence that I'm speaking with some authority today. So that's a little bit of background. I'm going to actually, look, you guys are participating so well. I'm going to ask a question that I hadn't planned to. What do you think is the biggest problem with dentistry? Okay, I'm going to give you my views, but just type it into the chat. Special shout out to Isabella, who didn't like tomato. Like, what do you think is the biggest problem that you see with dentistry, with the kind of field of dentistry? Put it into the chat. I'm really keen to see. Yeah, some people are fearful, or the costs. Yeah, maybe money's a bit of an issue. What else? Costs. Yep. Keep going. Time poor. That definitely can be the case. So that's If they're time poor, I would see that as being more that they don't see it as a priority. Lateness, I'm not quite sure what that means, Jess. Some people have got phobias. That is 100% true. They don't trust the dentist. They think it's only about the money. How interesting. Fear of the unknown? Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have a history of going to the dentist. Interestingly, both of my kids who are in their 20s and my granddaughter who's now 5, they have no fear of going to the dentist at all. Not knowing how important oral health is, you're absolutely right, Jan. Expensive, yeah, can be perceived to be. All right, cool. Thank you for participating, guys. I really appreciate it. So look, someone alluded to this one. Here's data. This was referenced from the Australian Dental Journal, which found that 49% of Australians suffer from dental anxiety. Now, that study's a few years old now. I suspect as time moves on, that number is actually going to go down a bit. I think for people my generation, some of their dental experiences were pretty rugged. I think for the younger people with, needles, etc., I think it's a lot better. The other aspect is the growth of the Australian population versus the growth of dentists. So on the left there, we've got Australia, and in the last 5 years, the Australian population has grown by 7%, but the number of practicing dentists has grown by 17%. Like let's say in the lunch break today, let's imagine sort of from 12 till 2, thereabouts, one new dentist will start practicing in Australia. If we think about today as a whole, one dentist will hang up their drill for the last time, 3 new dentists will start practicing, and 1 new practice will open. And I think this is definitely a challenge in dentistry. Here's another challenge in this space. Like the recent data shows that consumers experience between 2,000 to 5,000 commercial messages a day. So like, a couple of people commented that, people don't realize how important dental health is. And I go like, I get it, because consumers are getting so much information that, getting that message through can be a challenge. The other thing that I'd say is just think about, I'm interested in your household. Like in your household, how many times a week would someone go to the supermarket? Can you type that into the chat, please? I don't, whether it's Aldi, Coles, Woolworths, or something else. So you are, wowzer. Okay. Wow, look at these numbers. They're huge. 2 to 3 times a week, every day, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Contrast that with the average person going to the dentist. I found this photo from a bit of a starchy looking practice, I'm pretty sure in the UK. And of course, for good conscientious patients, they're doing this thing twice a year. And so that's, there's all these messages, all this noise being bombarded. We've got something like shopping where, based on this group, you're doing it a few times a week. And yet most of us are going to the dentist, if we're, well behaved, like twice a year. So that's a bit of a challenge. So this is, for me, this is the kind of why behind this, and then we're going to get into the how in the next section. How often do you think patients think about you? And I have to say, for most patients, it's like maybe they're thinking about you once a year, maybe they're thinking about you twice a year. And as Yen alluded to, the importance of our oral health, all of this data pointing to the fact that our the mouth is the window to the body, that our oral health points to our systemic health. And when you look at the kind of life priorities that your patients have got, I mean, where do you think dentistry sits on that list? Work, education, school, exercise, finance, travel, entertainment, kids, relationships, hobbies, spiritual, go to church, whatever you do, homework, shopping. I suspect that based on the frequency that, going to the dentist is a long way down that list. So that for me this is the challenge. But with challenge comes opportunity. So let's have a look. Now, before I do that, I always love giving away some freebies. We have a digital magazine called Dental Edge. This is the most recent one. Becky Chen, who's a dentist out my way, prospering practice in regional Australia. There's always a bunch of clinical articles in here, and there's a bunch of non-clinical. We've got one of our columnists is an HR expert. I notice a lot of people on this call are practice managers. So, for example, paid family and domestic violence leave. Dr. Jeff Hall, who's very big on ortho, and then there's always a fun stuff. It's usually sort of 12 to 14 pages, pretty quick read. What I'd like to do is give you a free subscription. So it comes out every second month. There's clinical and non-clinical content. And if you use that QR code, I'll just leave it on the screen for a second. You just got to punch in your details so you know how to get it. It arrives on email. The magazine is digital. And if you put in the code DMS, which is my company, Dental Marketing Solutions, then that's my free gift to you. I wonder, Beck, you're a very clever lady. Ah, look at that. So that, oh my goodness, she's read my mind. So that's the URL in the chat if you find the QR code's not behaving, and then just use the code DMS. I've got a podcast. I don't know if you're a podcast listener, called Practice Growth HQ, and it's everything about growing your healthcare business. Interestingly, this was an interview with someone talked about working 7 hours a month and making $500,000 a year. I'm sure we'd all like to do that. Creating a magnetic people first culture. And so you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, like whatever. Otherwise, it's practicegrowthhq.com. Now, finally, this one's an event that we're doing. We've got a number of speakers together. This is a multi-million-dollar dental practice. Everything you need to make 2024 a record year at your practice. I'm certainly speaking. Sean Pereira from Centaur is going to be speaking as well. We've got a bunch of topics: clinical excellence, AI and dentistry, case presentation, patient retention, strategic marketing, mindset mastery. So those are the dates. I'm aware some of you are tuning in from the West Coast. It's possible that we'll bring the event across to Adelaide and to Perth later on. But for the moment, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne. milliondollarpractice.au. No need for the com there. And so we've got a special code. Again, I love action takers. And the fact that you're here is I want to reward you. So if you use the code Centaur at checkout, then you get 50% off. The tickets are less than $100 a pop. And then if with the code from Centaur, it ends up being like $40-something, and dinner is included. So that's the QR code there. Those are the dates. This event will sell out. If you're interested in discovering how to get a multi-million-dollar practice, then come and check it out, and come and see Centaur, come and see me. All right, enough freebies. Let's get back on with it. So let's talk about patient engagement then. You know, we've got this problem, but we have an opportunity. And to boost engagement, what we need to do is enter the conversation that is in the patient's head. Remember, there's so much noise. There's so many other things they're thinking about. So here's my question for you. Again, you guys are doing so awesome on the chat. We're going to keep going with this. What are patients thinking about in Australia in November and December? And I've sort of put it into two categories. You know, dental-related things and non-dental-related things. You're probably going to come up with some ideas that I hadn't come up with, but type them into the chat. Like, what are patients thinking about in November, December? Holidays, Liz says. Yes, I agree. I'm thinking about my own holiday. Come on, what else are they thinking about? Sort of dental-related things, non-dental-related things in Australia. Using my health insurance, Christmas break, absolutely. Christmas shopping, yeah, like just kind of have an open mind here. Don't think too much dental. Just what are they thinking about? Health insurance, Christmas, what else, you guys? And then I'm going to show you what I'm come up with. Maximizing their healthcare, whitening, holidays, shopping, travel, end of school, family, absolutely. Christmas, increasing spend, end of year party, absolutely, Sally. Am I coming to yours? All right, whitening teeth, New Year's resolutions, absolutely. Yeah, good. Now, you know, one of the things in marketing, which is a communication, what we're trying to do, making money stretch. Yes, if I'm paying, okay. So I'm paying for Sally's Christmas party. All right, we'll see about that. One of the best things you can do to be getting patients' attention is to be feeding into the conversation that's already inside their heads. That makes sense? So when I think about dental-related things, and in fact, you guys have mentioned a number of these, but even things like, when's my next appointment? It's kind of like, oh, haven't been to the dentist for a while. When's my next appointment? What about the kids? Because, you know, the kids finish school, depending on what school they go to. They may have a few weeks from when they finish school until maybe, Christmas, if you celebrate that, or New Year's or whatever. What about the partner, hubby, or, hasn't been to the dentist for a while? Let's get them all booked in. When does my insurance reset? Now, if I understand correctly, it depends on the insurance. Some of them reset on the 31st of December, and some of them don't. So that could be something they're thinking about. What about stuff like this, like getting together with family? Like, I'm sick of being in the back row of family photos because I'm hiding my smile. Maybe I've got, a bit of a crooked smile. Maybe, I've got some staining on my teeth, whatever the case may be. And then what about this one? It's sort of under the broad heading of dental problems. I've got a cracked or a missing tooth, and I'm thinking, I wonder if I can get that fixed in time. Because, I haven't seen these people. I mean, in my household, and this is probably true in yours too, where we spend Christmas each year, it actually alternates every year. So it'll be my family one year and it's my wife's family the next year, which means it might be a couple of years since I've seen some of these people. So these are some of the things to think about. And what I would have to say to you is all of those things are an opportunity for you with your end of year patient communication. All right, what about non-dental related? Now, you mentioned some Christmas parties. Yep, we had that one. Family, someone mentioned that one. Presents, I think someone said that one. Entertaining the kids, like if you've got younger kids, it's like they've got this big 6-week window where, this paid childcare that they go to every day called school. It's not on. What are we going to do? Holiday plans, finances. Well done. I'm pretty sure we had the same list. And I'd have to say, same deal. All of this stuff is opportunity for you, your dental practice. All right, so let's look at patient communication then. In my mind, using Dental for Windows, I mean, some of you may be using something else, but with Dental for Windows, you have the capacity to do mass communication to your patients, and you have the capacity to do personalized communication to your patients. And what I want to do is break down for you the kinds of things that you could be doing where you're sending it to everybody who deals with your practice. And there are some things where you're going to say, hey, this one's just for Angus because we know, dot, dot, dot. So let's have a look. Mass communication, book your family appointments now. That's a very simple message to deliver. And yet for about, I think from memory, half of you said you were busier at the end of the year. So this can be a good time to remind them about that. What about something like a kid's holiday pack? Is anyone doing that? Just put that into the chat. I mean, in my mind, if I've got, well, my granddaughter's 5. Let's imagine she's with us for a week in a row. I'm like, what am I going to do to fill up her time? And if I get a note from the dentist that says, oh, by the way, and whether you do it as part of appointments or not, I would take the view that every touch point with you is a bonus. So I'd be tempted to send out a note to your entire list that says, hey, by the way, mums and dads, we know that, looking after kids at this time can be a challenge. So we've prepared a kids holiday pack for you. We've got, colouring in, and I don't know. I mean, my kids are a bit older now, but there'd be a range of things that you could have as a bit of a holiday pack for the kids, maybe a scavenger hunt or, whatever it is, but something. And you know how you find the answer to this? Like Google it. Find out some ideas for kids' holiday packs, and then tell whether you target specifically people or more generally, and whether it's every kid that comes in gets a kids' holiday pack. Some of you might even go, you know what, we've just got a bunch of these. Why don't you pop in and see us and get a free one to take home? So that's one thing you can do there. Whitening offer. I would definitely look at some kind of whitening offer. Now, I'm not frankly, a person who's big into discounting in dentistry. Some of you are sort of more deal-based than others, but I would definitely look at some kind of offer. What I prefer is something where you get something extra, because then there's not that sense of people always wanting a discount. It's like, I'm buying A and I get B as well. So whitening offer could be, and I'm just making this up, you might say, book 2 family members and the second person gets, whitening for free or whatever. Or it might be get an if they've got the take-home trays, maybe they get an extra tube. Certainly, if you're doing something like ortho, you might throw whitening in, but something that you can say, do A and get B. Maybe all you're doing is saying, hey, we've got, maybe, who knows, maybe you've changed brands, maybe you can partner with your whitening provider and have some kind of offer. And, I don't know whether it's a polar teddy bear or whatever the case may be, but come up with some kind of offer, even if it is, for the month of December, we've added an extra 10 minutes to each appointment for a chance for you to do whitening. It's just a way of shining the light on what is it that you're going to do to make it easy for people. Maybe all it is you add to the confirmation text, many of you use those, an extra sentence that says, by the way, are you interested in whitening to look great for seeing family and friends? Call us and book in an appointment. Just something like that. Hope that makes sense. All right, recipes, decorating, gift ideas. Like, these guys are thinking about this stuff. And so if you can insert yourself into that conversation, like Christmas recipes, if you're doing lots of ortho, you might even have some recipes for there that are kind of braces-friendly recipes. Decorating. Now, look, again, you don't have to be an expert at any of these things. Just Google it. Like, find out what some ideas, what's fresh in decorating ideas for 2023. There will be some, mainly women, some men, who are really starting to stress about what their table is going to look like for Christmas dinner. Like, literally, this is the conversation I may or may not be married to someone like that. It's kind of, oh, what's, Christmas dinner going to look like? And then gift ideas. Kind of, what do you give to the person who's got everything? And I'd be like, what about an electric toothbrush? What about a, flosser, the water pick, that kind of thing. I think you're getting the idea. Just a little bit of creativity here. Google it, find out how, and then communicate with all your people. You want to put in details about dental emergencies, nothing like, getting a toothache or a broken tooth at the wrong time of year. And then, of course, office closures. Now you're thinking, okay, Angus, this is good. How do I do this? So you've given me some ideas. I've taken a screenshot of this page. First, you could produce a newsletter. Even in Word, like Office Word, there are templates for newsletters. If you do File New, one of the things you can do is grab a newsletter template from there. It wouldn't be hard to find some kind of template. The second thing, of course, is just to send an email, and maybe the email is announcing one of these things. Maybe it's announcing a number of these things. And my question to you is, with the information that I've provided there, I mean, it could be 2 messages. It could be 3. It could be 4. You could have a very simple message that says, mid-November, book your family appointments in now. We're really busy at this time. We know many people want to get in and see the dentist before Christmas. The kids' holiday pack, you might have a special school holidays email or newsletter or whatever. But this is an excellent opportunity for you to be entering the conversation that is already in the mind of your patients. So that's mass communication. Let's have a look at personalized communication. Recalls, reactivations, of course, that's got to be a more personalized thing. Appointment reminders, we've already mentioned those. Insurance. Like, ideally, and I'm going to put Neil on the spot afterwards, but ideally, you've got Angus Pryor has got Medibank Private, for example, and therefore we could send all the people in our list who are with Medibank Private, and I don't know off the cuff what their arrangements are, but let's just say that for them, it's like, hey, Angus, if you're still with Medibank Private, you may not be aware that you get 2 free appointments a year. Give us a call and book in now. We'd hate for you to miss out. But that's much better if that's personalized than that sort of much broader one. Broken, missing teeth. Again, you should have some records, and you can run reports in D4W, which will go, let's send an email to everyone we know who's got a broken or missing tooth and let them know that there's a chance that they can, for example, same-day crowns, or maybe if you're not doing that, you can say, look, if you can book in the next few weeks, we can get you done for Christmas so that everyone will be, they'll notice your beautiful new smile. And then same sort of deal, whether it's that or something else. What are the other treatment things that people are like, oh, it would be good to get that sorted, by the end of the year. So these are the sort of things. You could send an email. That part's pretty straightforward. I've already mentioned SMS. You could even do a postcard. I'm not sure whether that's available. I don't think it's available through the general D4W, but if you're using the D4W marketing, you can definitely send out postcards that way. And again, same deal. You may choose to do personalized communication once, twice, maybe even 3 times before the end of the year. So I look, probably a bit serious face, but I just, want to make the point, this is within your control. I mean, it'd be easier if we were in a room together, but I could say to each one of you individually, like, is there anything I've shown you go, oh no, Angus, that's impossible. We couldn't do that. And I've got to say, all of this is within your reach. It is going to require a little bit of time, and you can talk to your D4W friendly rep, or tech to help with I mean, Neil's going to show us how, but this is not difficult to do, and you can win with this. Importantly, there's so many opportunities. There's already a conversation going on in people's mind. You guys told me what it was. Let's enter that conversation. So much easier doing that than trying to get their attention with something they're not thinking about. So backgrounds, a little bit of background, about some of the challenges in dentistry, and then we've come up with all of those different ways to engage your patients. And for you, maybe it's just, hey, there's one thing that Angus said, I think, yeah, we could do that. We've never done that before. Maybe I'll go and open up a template in Word and create a newsletter, and then just go and Google some recipes and, decoration ideas and whatever else. And then put some notes about our opening hours and emergencies at the bottom. So D4W in action. Now, look, I believe I've covered the first 2 bits of the purpose, which is to help you understand the need and the opportunity for the end-of-year patient communication. And we've certainly spoken about the tactics. So now what I'm going to do is hand over to Neil, who's going to show you how to use D4W to make it all happen. I'm happy to take some questions while we're doing that. Sharing. I've got the chat here. I'll get back to switch over to Neil, but in the meantime, any questions from that while we're getting Neil set up on the other end? Oops, I've lost the chat.
Hello, my name's Neil. Just on myself, I've been with the company for 9 years with Dental for Windows. And I'm one of the specialists when it comes to queries, is what we use for the topic today. Can everyone see my screen with Dental for Windows?
Yep.
Okay. So basically, for the communication we're talking about today, we use a feature called queries. And this can be done in 2 methods. It can either be done once off, so you can go in and create a list for any type of criteria, or we can set up to be automatic, which means we can tell it to run and you just set it and forget it. So what I'm going to talk about first is the automated method. So within the queries, within automation, we have predefined queries available, but we can also help you to set up your own individual queries. And as Angus said, these can be ones where we can set up one to go to particular health funds at the end of the calendar year or at the end of the financial year. So we can help you to set those up individually. The main thing to focus on with these is the type of communication that we can do. So we can set up an email or a letter template or an SMS template. And these can be personalized so that you can then put in here what you're going to say to the patient. With the SMS, just remember, try to keep under the 160 characters. If you go over that, it will count as 2 messages when it sends, which is one reason why this communication, email and letter, is preferred, because you can put more information in that document. So we would tell it here when to run. So for example, if we were doing the end of year communication, we could tell it to run every November And we can say on a set day in November, or we can tell it on the second Monday, for example. Now, some of these predefined queries capture all patients. And so we just tell it here what to exclude. So we have here patients exclude patients not seen in 36 months, which means if the patient hasn't visited in the last 3 years, they won't be sent the letter or postcard. Now you can change that to be whatever period you prefer. We can also exclude patient categories, which is where we tell it, if it's patient's deceased, we can say, do not send to that patient. And you can add your own ones into here, which we can help you with. Now, Angus mentioned before Dental for Windows marketing. If you have that enabled, you would see Demo My Batch. This adds an extra option in there that you can actually have a letter or email sent automatically and you don't touch anything. So very helpful for that. So with the criteria, we can either do it for all patients, or as I said, we can do patients belonging to an insurance fund. We can do patients' age range. We can do all sorts of targeted demographics. And we're more than happy to help you with it to set up to suit your requirements. So the other way that it can be done is through what we call manual queries. So this is where you would go in and you'd get a one-off list. So this would be an example if you're doing a communication now where you have a new provider starting next year. This is where you can create a list. And again, you can have options of whether to select particular criteria or all patients. And if we go to Mailmerge setup and we choose queries, is where we can choose our template. We can use Dental for Windows marketing for this, in which case we will click Demo My Batch, and that can send an automated message to those patients. So if you're going to select particular criteria, so we can add a new type in here. So I'm just going to add you can now see I've added a new set. I'm adding a new type. You only need to do this once. You can now choose Add Modify, which is where you can set up your criteria. So when we're doing simple, we can select from here what criteria we're going to send. So this is where you can select a patient's age between a range or insurance fund. And as I said, we can help you to set this up to suit the requirements that you need for a targeted campaign. Now, the other thing with the queries is we have a feature called Patient Unsubscribe. Now, that's a legal requirement where patients must have an option, or recipients must have an option, to opt out of receiving communication. And so with the Dental for Windows Patient Unsubscribe module, the patient can reply stop to an SMS, and that if they get an email, there's got an unsubscribe link where they can click on that. When they do that, on their patient record, it will mark them as unsubscribed. So you'll see here on myself, I have unsubscribed from SMSs for appointments. So you will see we have unsubscribed. That means that I will not be sent an appointment reminder by SMS again. If a patient unsubscribes to a query or to a promotional SMS, SMS will appear unsubscribed here. So in the query, we have duty of care. This essentially overwrites that unsubscribed. So you would use that typically if you're doing an end-of-year promotion of patients who have incomplete treatment or incomplete treatment plan, where you're providing a duty of care to the patient. You might tick that, which means that will ignore the unsubscribe and still send to that patient. We can also exclude if the patient is a family member and only send it to the family head. We can also exclude if the patient has an appointment within a certain number of days. So if you're sending one on the hope that the patient's going to make an appointment and they already have one, you don't want the patient to think, what are you talking about? I've already got an appointment. So we can put in here within so many days. So if I put in 60 days, I'm telling it that if a patient has an appointment within 60 days of today, they will not receive this promotional. 0 means we're sending to all patients regardless if they have an appointment or not. Okay, so that's pretty much the automated method. Similar applies to the manual method. You'll see we have the same settings here. Now, we can help you to set up preset queries. So we can set up what we call a user-defined query, which means the filter criteria is already there. So if you want to do an end-of-year communication of patients who have visited in the last 12 months and belong to Bupa, we can set up a user-defined query so that you don't need to worry about entering that. You just go in here and just run it. And you'll find it in the list here. So if I use this one as an example and I click retrieve, I've already got the criteria set. Now with Dental Windows marketing, we just go back here. We do have templates available within Dental Windows marketing for insurance fund, use it or lose it. So the patient can be sent an email, bright coloured email, saying use your health benefits or lose it when it resets. If we were to mark it as DMI batch, we can now select here the template we're going to send. And again, we can help you to determine which template you want to send and when it goes and who it goes to. So that's pretty much a rundown of how Dental Windows will do it. Obviously, there's going to be more targeted campaigns, targeted settings, which we can help you set up on an individual basis.
Thanks, Neil. I assume that's the end of your part. Is that correct?
Yes, unless you have any questions.
Good one. Look, I'm going to invite everyone to put your questions into the chat. Thank you, Neil. Neil and I have done this before, and yeah, it's really cool, the stuff that's available. Look, there was a question here from Umtul that I wanted to respond to, which is, what if the patient says they never signed up for offers, SMS or emails from us? So Neil's shown you how you can get someone to unsubscribe, and there's an easy way for them to do that. The other thing is that what I would recommend you do on your new patient form is, you can put in your new patient form, all patients consent to receiving contact from us by email or SMS with easy opt-out. So, that you've got a chance to communicate with people and they can always opt out. The other thing I wanted to comment on, I can see the poll's already gone up, which is, thank you for your feedback there, is Neil mentioned that you want to try and keep your SMS to within 140 characters, I think, from memory.
160.
160. And I just want to comment on that from a business point of view. That's true. I mean, an SMS, I think I'm right in saying, is 25 cents a pop. But, like if you were running a December whitening promo for people looking lovely for their Christmas parties, etc., then frankly, at 25 cents a pop, that sounds to me like the deal of a century. Like I would definitely do that. I mean, if you've got a practice that's seeing, say, 100 patients a week, now you'll know whether you're higher or lower than that. That's costing you $25 to SMS the whole list and invite them to get whitening done while they're with you. Now, a $25 investment per week, you would only need one patient a week to take that up for that to be a very good deal for you. And here's the thing. It's not about how do we get more business, not just about that. It's how do we serve our patients? Like, I've commented, I'm on record before, I have literally been to probably 15 dentists in my adult life. I've moved around a lot. I've never once been offered whitening by a dentist, not once. And yet I'm a person who drinks tea and coffee. I know my teeth get stained. And if it's delivered from the mindset of, how can I help you? Would you, have you heard about, would you be interested in? A lot of people tell us they care about this at this time of year. Then it's like we're thinking of their best interest rather than kind of, no, we're here just to get an extra dollar out of them. So that mindset's important, but certainly that's a great opportunity, whether it's about whitening or whatever the case may be. All right, any other questions? Type your questions into the chat. Otherwise, we're going to roll things up.
Just on the question there about if patients say they didn't sign up for it and don't want to receive it.
Yeah.
Within Dental for Windows, we can tell it, do not send this patient an SMS. So under the patient page here, under send queries to, we can remove SMS and email from here. So what this means is the patient, even though if they appear within the list, if these are unticked, they will not be sent the communication.
All good. Thanks, Neil. All right, anything else? It's sort of a technical question or a end of year patient communication question. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up. Just type them into the chat. Thank you for participating in the poll. Actually, I can see some of you have done that. If there are no other questions, can I just ask, I'd like to get a few more of you to participate in the poll, please. Although it does look like it's, yeah, okay, cool. All right. Well, I think we're done. Anything else from the Centaur team? Beck or Neil?
No, so I'd just like to say thank you. There will be a follow-up EDM that is sent after this webinar with the recording, as well as any links that you need to actually get self-support to see how to set these up in your own databases. eSupport, as of this week, is now no longer password protected, so you will now be able to all access that whether you're on a support and upgrade contract or not. So we'll be sending those links through. You'll be able to follow the instructions on how to set up your queries or any of the things that you've been shown. And we will also be sending through a special offer for everybody who does attend this webinar. It's part of our Christmas catalogue that launched today, where if you purchase 5,000 SMSs, you will get 1,000 for free as well for this time of year, because we know that you do reach out to a lot of your customers. So all of that information will be sent tomorrow. If you don't receive it, just let us know. We'll be able to send that through to you, but it will go to the email address that you register for the webinar with. Okay.
And thanks, Beck. And I'll make everyone an offer. If you think, yep, that'd be good. I like the idea of SMSing my people, about whitening or some other offer, then I'm inviting you to reach out to me, and we'll provide some text examples for you, and then I can just email them back to you. So either contact Centaur or contact me directly, and we can give you some suggestions for the actual messages that you can use in your precious 160 characters.
Just on the e-support, accessing from e-support from Dental for Windows is very easy. Just click on the Help drop-down menu and come down to e-support.
Excellent.
And that will then take you into e-support, which is where you can now search for your articles, or, as we mentioned, Beck will send you the links.
Thanks, Neil.
All right, sounds like we're done. Thank you, everyone. Hope you got a lot out of that. Go forward and do great end-of-year patient communication. See you guys.
Thanks, everyone.